Hi, this is Patrick Durkin, and I want to welcome everybody to the Lavanya Q&A about the Cosmic Tower today. It's very exciting. Nico's here, and Jen's here, and community members are here, and the towers are here. It's like the best thing. We sent a whole truck of them west and up the west coast, and I'm heading east tomorrow with a truck, and we've sent some out in the middle of the country, so they're getting distributed, and you guys are receiving them. And in addition, Nico had the chance to visit very recently with Harald in person, and so that was really tremendous. So we have a lot of your experiences to learn about, and Nico to share his experiences. It's going to be a little bit different call than anything we've had before. It's very exciting. So let's turn the mic over to Nico, and Nico, let you start with what you want to share from your visit with Harald.
Yeah, sure. So I got a chance to meet with Harald in person in Belgium, and my friends had ordered a 250, the CT 250. So we got to stand that up, and then Harald and I got a chance to catch up about the project and what he's working on. And I highly recommend, there's a Q&A we did that's on YouTube now. That's a recording about 1.5 hours of that conversation with Harald, but I want to take the time here to just touch on a few things that he has shared with us. And then, yeah, especially I'm also excited to hear everybody's experiences with the Cosmic Tower. Some people have been contacting us directly, and then, you know, from some of the groups, I'm getting a lot of great messages. So we're here to answer your questions about the experiences that might have come up for you. So a few things I want to talk about. In the last call, we talked about the Cosmic Tower having an on and off switch, and that caused some confusion, especially in Holland. So I want to clarify that. The Cosmic Tower, it's always active. So once it's activated, there's no real turning it off. But what we were alluding to was that if the Cosmic Tower is like horizontal, it's not nearly as powerful as when it's standing up vertically, right? So it's not like the tower is switched off. No, the tower is always active. It's just that the field is a lot less powerful when it's in a horizontal versus in a straight up, you know, when it's standing straight up. And something you can test for yourself with the smaller towers. Just tune into it and lay it on its side and see what you feel. Then we also talked with Harald about what to expect with the Cosmic Tower. And I think the big outcome for that was, he said, like, don't have any expectations. What he means by that is be open to whatever appears, because the Cosmic Tower, it doesn't respond to our ego wishes or what we from a 3D point of view might think is important right now. This pain in my knee or whatever it is, I want that to go away. So always know that the Cosmic Tower works with your higher self, and also frame your questions or frame what you want from it from your higher self, right? And for the highest best, because it has its way of prioritizing what the issues are to work on. I mean, you might think the worst issue that you're dealing with is this knee that you can't walk straight, but it might notice something within your circulation or related to your heart that it wants to address first. Or maybe this knee pain is actually a symptom from something that has a root cause, maybe in your emotional or in your mental or in a more subtle layer. So keep an open heart for those things coming up, because it might not react to what you want on a 3D level, right? So just be open, have an open heart. And the most important thing that Harald kept reiterating in that call is it's all about communication. If you put your Cosmic Tower in a closet, close it away and never look at it again, it's not nearly going to be as beneficial as if you make it part of your life experience, make it part of your family, and communicate with it. And he even made an example to where the cosmic tower, if it feels that communication's not going on, like, hey, maybe we won't structure the water that well, and the person will notice, like, hey, here I am, communicate with me, right? So these things happen. One other exciting thing that Harald mentioned is that now the cosmic towers have 3 souls attached to each tower. And that's especially important when you go in the much larger towers, because they have so much energy and they have such a big range, right? That there's a lot that needs to be coordinated. So now 3 souls are being attached, which actually gives the cosmic tower more bandwidth to respond to our requests, because it doesn't have to go all through one soul. So that was exciting. Then Harald showed me some of the installations of the 4-meter towers that he has done. And then I think he's going to finish a 6-meter tower this month. And then he's hoping to even go to an 8-meter tower. And just for that one, I think the crystal alone is like 1,500 pounds. And it has like 800 liters of water in it. So yeah, it's quite amazing what all he's working on. So yeah, those are some short updates that I have, but we posted it on the YouTube channel. So if you want to watch that replay, there's a lot of questions from our community that I actually asked in that call. So
thanks for getting us rolling, Nico. So Jen put the link to the YouTube in the chat. If you guys haven't seen that yet, by all means, go check it out. And Jen, that's on the Wellness Enterprise YouTube channel, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Cool. So if you guys want to keep informed when you go to the Wellness Enterprise YouTube channel, just click that subscribe button. And then whenever we post a video, historically, we post a video every Friday. And we're starting to have so much content that we might start adding another day too. And you'll get notified that way. Nico, you held up a mini, and people don't know about the minis, and there haven't been minis in North America. So why don't you tell them a little bit about where you got that and what your experience with it is and what its purpose is, why we didn't have it before, why we're bringing it in on the next container.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So this is the smallest version of the Cosmic Tower family, and it's a mini. And it actually comes with this nice little jacket that protects it for when you drop it and all, or do whatever with it. The mini, the reason we did not go for the mini right away is because the mini is not like a bigger tower. The goal of the mini is to protect your aura while you're outside of range of your bigger tower. Now, if your bigger tower will actually start rebuilding your aura and building up your energy, the mini doesn't do that. So the mini should really be a complement to a bigger tower for when you go outside the range, and to make sure that you sit in the big field of your tower, your aura gets built up. Now you go on a trip and you get bombarded again, your aura goes down again. It's really to keep it where it's at, so you don't lose what you've built up when you go outside of the range. The reason we're going to be bringing these in with the next container for people that already have a larger tower, because it's a really good complement there for when you're on the road to take it with you. But we didn't want people to get the mini as a primary tower and then hope that their entire house be neutralized of EMF and get the same benefits from a bigger tower, because that's simply not what it is designed for. Everything is about how much water can be in the device and how far the water can be spread apart. As you see, this is about, like 200 grams. So there's not that much water in here. And it probably creates about a field of 7.5 meters or so, so a 20-foot field.
So we're not going to put a restriction in our shopping cart that stops you from purchasing a mini if you don't own a bigger tower, but our counsel to you is to not. Only buy a mini if you have another tower. That's our request. We put it on the page. We're saying it to you now verbally. It's your choice. But we want you, if you buy anything from Enterprise ever, we want you to have an extraordinary experience with it. We want it to make a difference in your life. And the Mini is fantastic for what it's designed for, which is a support to keep you where you're at when you're at home and you're restoring the harmony in your whole energy field. So please use it as such. And then you're much more likely to get the fulfillment of the expectations that are fair for that product. To that end, over the last couple of weeks, I've had some learning that I want to share with you guys, which is understanding more about the difference between a 35, 75, and 220. And what I didn't understand before is that the 220s are really programmed slightly differently to be oriented toward nature and the whole of the environment that we're living in. So a 220, when you invest in one of those, you're doing it not only on behalf of yourself, but you're doing it on behalf of a diameter of 500 miles outside of you, like 250 miles in each direction. So that doesn't mean it doesn't work on you. I mean, it only works on nature. It means that's its primary purpose, is to serve that greater environment. Whereas if you're thinking about your individual environment, the 35s and the 75s, that's what they're tailored for. So if you have more access to funds, or a belief that investing in this is more important than the other things you do with money in your life, and you want to get a 75 for your home, for you, for personal growth, that's exactly the right thing to do. If funds are more constricted and you have other priorities that are pulling your funds and you want to do the 35, that's what that's designed for. And then the Mini is designed to be in the home of any of those three and to be carried out and to support you. Nico, do you want to add anything on that?
No, that's a great point. Obviously, if you have a 220 sitting in your home, it's a very powerful and it's a very solid field. So just having your body, your being in that field, of course, is going to tremendously, benefit you.
Yeah, and so one of the things that we have been doing, and the network is big, but it's still small, is when we're going to an area, we're inviting, with a 220, we're inviting people in that area to come and meet the 220 when it gets installed, gets stood up, and also to have the visual and experiential aspects of connecting your smaller tower to that 220. But if you are near one and we tell you about it, you don't have to make a physical trip to do that. It's just part of our dream is a loving community of people that feel safe with one another, exchange love and maybe commerce and energy with one another. And so when we get the chance to introduce you all, we consider that just a tremendous privilege. And our hope is that that leads to relationships for you. So, the gentleman who drove the truck from Texas to Washington with all those towers, he actually went into Canada yesterday, and he ended up taking a tower there and meeting the homeowner and having dinner with her and two of her friends and spending the night. And we really want to facilitate that. So I will be in northern Georgia on Friday this week. So I think today's the 5th, so the 7th, April 7th in the morning. And then I will be in the Asheville area on Tuesday, 4 or 5 days later, so around the 10th, whatever that date is. And if you're in those areas and you want to meet a 220 when it's going up, then get in touch. Nico, back to the souls that you were talking about. When an upgrade comes in the network, and say you have a tower from the first one that was ever put into a consumer's hands, and that one had one soul, what happens when there's an upgrade to 3? Like,
that's for the entire network. It's just like you might have heard Harald talk about the frequencies actually going up to like the galactic, right? The galactic levels. That is done for the entire network.
Great. So, Sarah, that's a specific answer to your question, that regardless of which container your tower is on, it's going to have the 3 souls. And so, Harald and his team have connection to the global network. And when an upgrade comes, it's spread throughout. And that's that's part of the whole point here, guys, is that we're building a network to support the evolution of human beings. And that is not a static thing. And so as new light frequencies become available, as new techniques and technologies and skills become available, and the towers can be infused with an even greater strength, they will be. Like that's part of what we're up to. Okay, how many 220s do we have standing in the US? How many have been shipped and reached their homes? So Texas is covered. There's one on its way a few hours north of Texas into the middle of the country that is on a freight truck right now. Mardell just shared, my tower told me that they are all one mind and interconnected. It's beautiful. And I love you guys sharing that kind of stuff. Because when you have those experiences, relay them to me, I get to talk to everybody and then I get to share them with everybody else. It's like my favorite thing, because I don't like sharing my experiences like 1/10 as much as I like sharing yours. Thank you, Mardell. One that's going north, that's on a freight truck right now. A bunch went west, and we're covered all the way across the Western US, like whether you're down in San Diego or in Phoenix or the bottom of Arizona, between what we have in West Texas and what we have in the middle of Arizona, I think that's all covered. And we're even covered to like just below Salt Lake City, going north. And then we've got the Reno and Tahoe area covered, and then up north in Washington. So there's a gap there around Mount Shasta and in that area. And then on the East Coast, we're covering Georgia and down Asheville and up. We've got one going to Vermont. It's not there yet. The two in Asheville and Georgia aren't there yet, but they're all in motion. They're all in motion. We're looking particularly for homes for people for 220s. If you have the resources and the place in Florida and in the kind of top middle of the country, Indianapolis, Ohio, Michigan, and then there's that really important area in upstate New York. That continues to be an area we'd like to focus on. So, you know, anybody that's called up in that area, we'd love to play with you. So that wasn't an exact number, but
it's about 10 of them. Now,
yeah, there's a few that are unsold in one location, like somebody bought a bunch of them, and we're working on the subtleties behind standing them up while they're still in crates and figuring that out, and where they can be positioned. So, you know, we're trusting the unfoldment of the project and that the towers are in more control than we are, and we still put out the intentions for directions that we're hoping to go to. So guys, my number one feedback that I've received from people since this started, the distribution, is people sleeping more than they've slept in decades. Personally, I had 3 nights over 9 hours last week and 1 over 10. It's a lot of sleep. And a lot of people are reporting that. A woman down in Austin who had a friend with a 75 spend the night says she wakes up at 5:15 every morning. She can't sleep past 5:15. She slept till 10. And, you know, I think it's really important to talk about this because it's a symbol of how our nervous system is acting. And, you know, I feel part of the point of all the 5G and the technologies is to like shake us. So, you know, like if you're looking at your screen and you see me, it's like, this is what it feels like to be in the world that is filled with toxins and pollutants and whatnot. And when you get in the harmonic energy field of a natural torus, you just feel calm. And then your nervous system says, oh, it's time to restore. So I'm really excited about that. Nico, you want to say any more about that, or any of the observations of what you've experienced with people? As they're getting
Yeah. I think sleep is a big one, and I think it's also the first step for people to balance again, because a lot of us were so constantly in that fight or flight. And I kind of make the comparison to somebody who works hard all year and then goes on a vacation. And then finally, like, they're able to let go and get into that parasympathetic in that relaxation. And that's a big part of it, because sometimes people will come to me and say, like, well, I cannot really feel the tower's energy, but I slept so good last night. And I'm like, well, there you go. That's the first step. It doesn't always have to be this really strong energy, right? It's gonna work on what's the most important for you in that moment. And for a lot of us, that's just to let go, relax, and get some rest. So,
Yeah, right on. So I'm noticing the attendees, bunch of you have just gotten towers, or you're waiting for a tower. If anybody has an experience with the tower, I know I can, there we go. There's Kirk. Can we verbally ask questions? Yeah, it's perfect, Kirk. It's time. Let's unmute you. And then anybody who has a tower already, we'd love for you to share your experience. And I know Charles Matthew is on the call, and he's got his video off right now, and that's fine. But in a few minutes, Charles, I know you've had a lot of experience with the tower recently, and I'd love for you to share. But let's see where the conversation wants to go first. And by the way, guys, this call is a hard stop at the top of the hour, so we've got 37 more minutes, and then it needs to end today. There's just too many things going on. So Kirk, let's unmute you and keep the conversation rolling.
Coast, the beautiful waters out here in the Atlantic. I'm pretty savvy about the technological aspects of what you're offering. My concern is, of course, protecting myself from the onslaught, the global onslaught of frequencies. With everything's frequency, right? Everything is frequency. So I, unfortunately, where I currently reside, right above is a whole bunch of EMF transmitters. I have a full-blown cell tower, and it's a problem. So right now, I'm not going to get out of here quickly, but I wanted to know, I understand the smaller towers, there's a finite effect on that. Does that expand and increase in protection against 4 and 5G and whatever God else they're going to put up there in the near future for protection? What can I assess from that? Because I'm definitely feeling symptoms from these nefarious frequencies.
yeah, absolutely. And there is never like a straight answer with the cosmic tower of it will do this there. We have to look at every individual case. Like you're already mentioning, I have all these transmitters sitting up there, right? That's different than you live in a cabin out in nature, right? So
yeah, definitely.
The cosmic tower has a finite amount of energy available to where it might not be able to cover the entire reach, right, of its range with that energy, but the bubble of where it can create a consistent effect and neutralize that just might be smaller. So if you can, the 75 is 6 times more powerful than the 35. And it's also something you can tune into with dowsing or kinesiological testing. Now, the other thing that is really important is the area that you are in already covered by a bigger tower, right? Because they work as one network. So if, let's say, your 35 is really struggling in a particular area, the bigger tower is part of how they're programmed is to send more energy to that smaller one to empower it. And I have a good example of that. When I was in Egypt with my tower, there wasn't a lot of interference, so I could feel it nicely. And then I go to Belgium where there's a lot more EMF and 5G, etc. And still my tower felt a lot more powerful because it had that big power support.
Got it. Okay, that handles it, folks. Thank you.
Kirk, you're welcome to direct message me if you know how to use the chat, your address. If you want me to tell you if you're in the range of a 220, I'm happy to be precise about that. We try to keep it a little bit vague publicly.
Sure. Yeah, I get it.
Privacy. Cool.
Yeah, thanks. And hi, Jen. Thanks for the call yesterday. She was my intro, and way to go, guys. We need you. So I'm definitely going on board with everything. Your Energizer, anything and everything I get my hands on. So you'll see me probably maybe smaller at first, and then once I handle some things, 75 or a full-blown 220, because I do want to protect my neighbors and my community.
Right on. Well, thank you for joining us and being here and engaging. We love you being here.
Thank you.
Yes, I had I had one of my favorite moments, I think, since I started the Wellness Enterprise this weekend. When you place an order with us, there's a field that says, "How did you learn about us?" And there was a woman from Yonkers, New York, and she put YouTube there. And I decided to call her up, and I got her on the phone. And I was like, "Well, you said YouTube, but what does that mean? What were you searching for?" She said, "Well, I was living in a world that doesn't make any sense to me. So I started searching for, like, what's wrong with this world? Who's running this world?" And I found some information, but I wasn't really that satisfied with the whole story. And the more I marinated in it, the deeper I went, and I started looking for solutions. And when I was looking for solutions, you came up, and I read about the Cosmic Tower, and it just felt right. It resonated with me. And so I bought a Cosmic Tower, and I was like moved to tears. I was like, we've actually become so relevant for the times that we're living in, that collectively, like this community, we are building a harmonic network for human beings to live in across the globe. And there's a lot of others that are doing it in Europe and have a couple year head start on us. But I'm just so moved that that's who we've become. And when I was guided with this intense passion to understand structured water and mature the Aqua Energizer brand, and then to build the Lavagna community to give us all a place to hang out in. And then the Cosmic Towers came in. I never understood how they all came together to create a harmonic energy field with people living with living water in their bodies, communing with people who are open-minded and loving. And that's what's happening. So imagine both my surprise and delight to see it all knit together. It's really, really awesome you're here. Lindsay, yes.
Hi there. I just love what you said, and it's absolutely true. This is like a revolution that's just going faster than any of us can know, and it's so exciting. So I have a few questions. One, I really want to know how we know the water is structured. When I take my dog, I use the water. I use your filter, your best filter in the world. And then I use my beamer on it, which is a different frequency that puts a beautiful signal into the water. And then I use that water, and I use also your crystal water bottle. I have it sit there for 7 minutes. So I really am all about water. And the only thing I've noticed is my dog, still, when I take him outside, he prefers to drink the water that's rainwater in a bucket outside than to the water I pour for him here. Yeah. So I'd like to know what you're about water too.
I'm all about water, and I'm all about my dog. And my dog is such a wise ass. He goes and drinks water out of the ocean just to show me. He drinks puddles, he drinks swamps, he drinks slop. He will drink the nastiest water. He's like, I'm good. And I don't understand why that is the way it is, but I adore him to pieces. So there are probably deeper signals there. I don't understand them. But I have great news for you, which is that all water is structured. And let's unpack that a little bit in a conversation. So there's no such thing as unstructured water at Lindsay's house. The only question is how is it structured? And I suggest that we have a frame of harmony and chaos. And we simply draw a line down the middle of all life experience. And something is either 50.01% harmony, and it's going that way, or it's going toward chaos. And then the way I developed my discernment, which eventually became a book on this topic, is I had a tool called 3 days on, 3 days off. And basically what that meant was, I want to learn the answer to this question. And so what I'll do is, when something comes up to be examined, like Lindsay wants to know whether her water is structured or not. Take water that you don't treat at all and drink it for 3 days. And then let your intuition guide you and decide what the experiment is next. Maybe all of your technologies together and drink that for 3 days. And just go ping pong back and forth. And within a short number of 3-day segments, when you go to switch on that 4th day, your body will be like, no, I don't want that one anymore. And that's when you'll know. And that's the thing, is like, we're endowed with this higher guidance system, but we're indoctrinated to use our minds and logic to discern things. And at the level of feeling and knowing is where you really want to come to your own answer with this. And so I would try your different structuring technologies and see how they fit. For me, one of the things that I would do is I would pull the beamer out of the sequence for a bit. Not that I think beamer's anything other than wonderful for working on the body. It's just that it uses electricity. And I'm personally not drawn to use electricity in any way in my life that's not necessary for what I'm up to. So try structuring with the structuring technology. One really weird thing is that my body, I've got the water pitcher. I got one right in the other room. I could go filter my water. My body is consistently preferring water through a structuring device alone without using the filter. And I just try not to resist my body's knowing. And, you know, if I had to put like logic around it so I could talk to you about it, I would say that philosophically, I'm deeply motivated toward oneness. And so I don't believe there's such a thing as removing something from something. There's no removal. There's no over there. There's no taking something away. So a filter removes. And if water tastes bad or it gets better through putting it through one of our filters, I'll do it. Like no hesitation. But consistently I choose not to. So build your own matrix. I like this one better than this one. I like this one better than this one. I like them all, or I like some of my technologies. And I think that'll help you get at it. I remember I lived in a cabin north of Asheville with Nico for a number of weeks. And then I left and he got the tower and I came back. And he said, and so I knew that water, like I knew going over to that sink because it was on an aqua energizer. Well, actually we had a portable aqua energizer there. And at that time. So I went over and drank the aqua energizer water in the field of the tower. And that was the month that I said yes to this project. It was like so soft. So
and Mardell just shared in the chat that she has a whole house structured system and the water tastes so much better since she got her Cosmic Tower 75. So resonates with what you're saying.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks for throwing that in there, Jen. And you know, this is something I'm like, I've pushed against being willing to say this, but we're getting more polluted. They're up in the ante, you know? And so a structuring device 2 years ago might have fared better just by itself than it's capable of now. Right? So Nico, you had something you shared with me in the last couple of days about the density of the toxicity in the water becoming so strong.
Well, yeah, we actually, if you go in Q&A with Harald, we talked about this topic, whether we should still use a filter or what he recommends. And one of the important things to take into account is that, yes, the Cosmic Tower cuts up the water structures. Now, when we're dealing with water that has more and more pollutants loaded into it and saturated, then the Cosmic Tower doesn't have much pure water molecules to work with, right? And that's something to take into account. It's like Harald says, like, you know, with tea, right? Or with coffee, you can never get clean clothes if you wash it with water that's saturated with something. So that's something to take into consideration. And we have to determine that all for ourselves. Yeah, in North Carolina on the farms, that's pristine water. The way it comes out and the effect is amazing. In some parts of Europe, that water is recycled 6-7 times and has so many pollutants in it that the cosmic tower might have a real hard time cutting it up. But yeah, what holds true always is our own guidance system and testing it for ourselves and see what feels better.
Yeah, I'm going to be clear. I'm not here to push water pitchers. I don't like them. They're less wasteful than plastic bottles, but I started this company to get rid of plastic bottles, and water pitchers are made from plastic. And some people say, well, why don't you sell a glass one? Look, we sell the best one that's available in the world. It's made from plastic. So be it. And so with that said, part of the reason I'm taking a moment to speak of the best water pitcher ever, which I named it, and I named it because it's the best water pitcher ever. Like, it does its job and it has a place, which is that if you're in a temporary situation where you need toxin removal, this is the best toxin removal you can get. Water pitchers don't typically remove fluoride. This does. Water pitchers definitely don't remove Fukushima generated radiation, but this one does. Like, it's amazing. And, you know, it's like $89 and you can use it as a temporary thing. So I travel all around the country now. I'm always in a new place and I just take it with me. If the water is bad, then I use it. And there's 2 reasons I use a pitcher. The water doesn't taste good enough for me to love it. If I don't enjoy drinking the water, I'm going to be dehydrated, and I don't want to be dehydrated. And the second is, if toxins are so bad in an area, like you're near something industrial or agricultural, and they're really just polluting the heck out of the earth in that spot, then sometimes you need to do some removal for your mind to feel safe. So if you need it for your mind to feel safe, maybe for you, that's just being anywhere. For me, it would only be in a concentrated area. That's not really my concern, but I speak it because it is for some people. So if you want a filter that's really phenomenal, laboratory tested, our pitcher is that product, and you can use it on a temporary basis. I don't advise it for the long term because it's a little bit more expensive. If you have the money for it and you want toxin removal, it's not a don't do. It's just a, you know, maybe there's a better long-term solution. All right, so that covered a lot of ground on that question, Lindsay. Did we give you some ground to work with and engage and find your own higher guidance?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I do want to comment on what Ron said, because that's a good point. One of the issues with a water filter is, you know, if you use it for 6-7 months, you keep running the water through all the memory of all the bad things on energetic level. So there, Ron, it's a trade-off, right? How many pollutants how saturated is the water, right? Know that if you run it through a filter and then it comes in contact with the toroidal field of the cosmic tower with aqua energizer, it will still take care of the memory. So it's this trade-off, right? How saturated is it? If it's not saturated at all, don't use the filter. If you live in an area where there's a lot of saturation, do it. And then knowing that the cosmic tower will take care of the memory after that. So
Yeah, and there's one other controllable situation. Buy a few replacement filters at a time. We discount it a little bit because we save on shipping, sending them to you. And if you use it for a little while and you feel like it's compromised, or you learn to use your internal guidance system to feel, well, wow, that filter feels heavy for me now, just throw it away. Like, that's what the water pitcher is great at. So if you need certainty and confidence, particularly on a short-term basis, it's phenomenal for that. So, all right, Charles just popped his video on, which must mean that we're ready to hear about somebody's cosmic tower experience. And if anybody else has a cosmic tower experience, we really are excited to hear how they're impacting your lives. So, Charles, we're gonna ask you to unmute and tell us about living with the tower, what you've been experimenting with.
From having an ability to rest and rejuvenate during the evening, totally during sleeping, totally changed how I am. I was sleeping 10 hours real solid when in the first night, second night, third night, let's say 9 or 10 hours of just experiencing the first one of my own. There was one earlier, an earlier trip from Patrick for a little bit is beautiful. I noticed my energy change where I was just more centered, more focused, even in very, very overwhelming situations. I kept my calm. I didn't react the way I normally would, like very aggressive and mean and throw things back meaner that were said to me. And I'm sure a lot of other people are grateful for that. And that alone may be enough. Because if I walk into a store, and sometimes I've been known to do it, I get very mean. And so it just helped me interacting better with people and realizing that I can really have a different life totally all the time, and it's easy. Another real big adventure is I finally took it out in my car to ride in, because this is what I was using the smaller one for, 35, CT35. And it was raining real bad. And so I said, well, I'm going to just see what's happening with the windows and stick my hand out. Both windows worked. I had a broken electric window for probably 7 months, 6 or 7 months. Actually longer than that, because my other car is in the shop getting fixed, a shortage of parts. And it fixes cars. Okay. Driving was much easier. It was night and it was pitch black, very, very dark. And here I am driving on these country roads and I felt comfortable. Now, I wasn't going 70 or 80. I was still going 55. And I just felt so much better. And one of the big reasons I was wanting to use the CT as a test was driving in traffic, like Dallas, Texas. I do my best to avoid the traffic during the day. Naughty, naughty. And I could go on for another hour, but I think that's enough.
Charles, I rather than just tying it to specific things, you have a lot of experience with subtle energies, working with crystals, owning many, many crystals. How would you comment on the energy field of living in a cosmic tower?
I get chills when you ask me that question. This is what I was looking for most. I work a lot with crystalline energies, and I consult with regard to systems that are going to be bought or being made. Because of my background, it's very high tech, and I also have very spiritual things. I was totally amazed at the interaction between quartz crystals and the cosmic towers. In fact, with rare earth minerals added to a cosmic tower, it totally changed the energy for the better. It brought in the characteristics of both. And the rare earth minerals are just a very special mineral that are extremely, extremely powerful by themselves. And some of you may know about that. And in a few days, you're going to get to experience that. I'm about to put them in the mail tomorrow. Okay.
Charles, let me jump in on that. Thank you for your comments on the energy field. For Jen, will you throw a Lavanya link into the chat? For those that don't know, we have a community. It's called lavanya.com. And Charles is a teacher there. And Charles purchased 50,000 pounds of crystals in the 1980s. And he's been stewarding them ever since. And he's been having remarkable experiences. He has 2 very profound skulls, crystal skulls, that oversee the property and the crystals and that communicate to continue to nurture the energy and the vibration of the crystals. And it's the magnetism of that whole thing of crystals that had me move from Asheville to Texas to live with Charles, to help those crystals go out in the world. And Charles has been asking for all these years, asking of the crystals, like, may I distribute you? And the answer has always been no, until he met me. And then with the Lavanya community and the loving connection that we're building with people, he asked the crystals, and it was finally time to distribute them. So Lavanya membership is intended to be the best investment that you've ever made in your entire life. It's $18 a month, and we want to give you thousands and thousands of dollars of value. We're not there yet. We're still building, But what Charles is referring to is that everybody who's a Lavanya member has been invited in the last couple of weeks to fill out a survey and study a little bit to make sure they understand the power of receiving these crystals into their life. And as long as they fill out the information that they studied, Charles is sending several samples of, well, not just samples, but working pieces to help people learn how to use crystalline energy in their lives for all sorts of purposes. He's giving that from his heart. It's a gift to Lavanya members. So Jen's putting a link to Lavanya in the chat. And if you're not a Lavanya member yet, become a member so we can send you some of Charles's crystals. Like, it's an extraordinary gift that he's giving. Yeah, Charles.
Not only that, they're going to come with instructions, and this is something that's been missing in the past. Jen wrote, I helped Jen and I got together and we wrote some instructions and what to do. And these are steps. And Patrick also, these are steps how to use them. And this is what's been missing also. And this is part of what this kind of help is what brings how come I'm really accepting Patrick to help me out, along with his energy, and that we've been knowing that we've been connected in an earlier time, meaning an earlier dimension. And I'm even looking at experiences like working with the cosmic tower. And then when I bring a small little itty bitty, like the smallest piece of sand you could ever find, it's that big. Okay, well, I'm already thinking Stargate. I'm having Stargate experiences whenever I dream. Wow.
Awesome. Well, thanks for jumping in here, Charles. And you know, bottom line, guys, Charles is profiled on Lavanya.com. He's in the membership. We're giving things away, and we want you all to know about it and have the opportunity to take advantage of that. Jen posted a link in the chat to my book. We don't usually talk about it, but it's called Flow. It's on Amazon by Patrick Durkin, and it's $12. And I'm starting to realize that I need to tell people about it, because I kept hearing from customers like, I didn't know you wrote a book, and I didn't know that could answer my questions. So if you want to know more about structured water, just look up Flow on Amazon by Patrick Durkin and pick up a copy. And if you like it, or if you don't, please leave a 5-star review on Amazon so that more people get to see it. So does anybody else want to share their experience of getting a tower already? And there's Nico back. I've got that question sitting in the chat. So somebody just sent me a private message that said that the name Flow is in their business too. And like, this happens all the time, guys. We're up to the same things. Like, humanity's stuck. We need to flow. We can do it through a million venues, and we're doing it our way and you're doing it your way, and we unite those ways and pull together. We run the same mission. If anybody wants to share their experience, please just unmute yourself or raise your hand. And Nico, I'm going to circle back to you with the question about quantum energy and scalar energy. What's the difference between quantum energy and scalar energy? Does quantum energy interact with scalar energy?
I don't really know what is meant with quantum energy. I mean, those terms get thrown around so much that if you could like clarify that. Clearly, there's a big difference between regular transversal waves and then scalar waves, right? So the cosmic tower is a scalar wave, and we talked about this before, that it has the ability to travel through matter, right? And that it has the ability to transfer energy from one place to another with minimal loss. So I'm not sure what is meant by the quantum energy. So
well, I think that speaks to the times we're living in, right? Like, we all know that everything's energy, frequency, vibration, and we're trying to figure out what the heck it means. And I think, you know, I'll reiterate one of the things that we stand for over here, which is that the secret of the success of humanity is you being you. And the thing is that the you grew up being, that's not you. That's the programmed, indoctrinated us in most cases. And what we're after is exposing one another to experiences so that you get a palpable a palpable sense of who you really are inside of a harmonic energy field. And so then when somebody offers a definition of quantum energy or scalar energy, you can listen and you can feel what resonates with you. So the part that I've picked up about scalar energy that resonates with me is that it's not linear. So, that stops my mind pretty hard sometimes. But the idea of it being that something can be generated here as like an epicenter of something, and you, which is all of you, united in this Zoom screen, but geographically spread from this epicenter, can feel it instantly at the same time. So that's a little bit of what resonates for me on that. And, we can just keep asking questions and having conversations about it. Okay, Jen's got some questions that people sent in, and she's just sent me one. How far of a range does the 220 neutralize chemtrails? Does it neutralize them at all?
Yeah, so the 220, like the bigger towers, their toroidal field is more flattened, right? I mean, if you look at the 75s, it's more, it's also goes the same in every direction. Now the 220s are more flattened, but they still go way up. But they're not going to go 400 kilometers up, 250 miles, right? So they're more flattened to cover a broader range. Again, with so yeah, they go high enough to where they neutralize chemtrails. But again, it all comes down, how much energy does one tower have available? Yes, it has the range to go 250 miles in each direction, but that depends on the level of distortion that it needs to work with, right? So it's not gonna do that for the entire 250-mile range. Where it's stably doing this all depends on the load that is there at present, right? This is why, and Harald also talks about this, it's just not enough to have one big tower to cancel out an entire city, even though that tower can send energy with no loss to a particular direction. It still has a finite amount of energy available. So we have to take, for example, LA. This is the amount of energy in distortions, 5G, Wi-Fi, geopathic stress, chemtrails, add it all in there. And this is the energy that we're adding per cosmic tower, right? And at some point, that balance is going to tip. That doesn't mean that if the cosmic towers don't have enough energy to cancel all of that out, that nature and that we and a lot of people don't see the benefits, right?
Right on. Okay, Nico, people who are receiving their towers have some questions about that. One of them bought the smallest one, meaning the CT35, the 35 centimeter tall one, and it's in my living room, but no instructions came with it.
Towers.
Solid point. Do you have any sort of written information I can download? Can it sit in the sun? Is there any other care I need to do?
Kind of up.
Can you Corey, Corey work?
Chemtrails and that. Yeah. So I said, yeah. I mean.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. So we do have instructions with the product, like on the Wellness Enterprise, like best practices. Jen and I are also working on some follow-up emails for people that have purchased the towers, so to get up to speed on that. Also, everybody that's purchased the tower, we did a special integration call with Cosmic Tower owners where we sell, where we talk about these things that you can do. So there isn't much as far as instructions with a Cosmic Tower, right? There's no power cord to plug in. It's a matter of finding a good place for it and standing it up. And the tower is active. And then obvious things, you don't expose it to freezing, you don't drop it because it has water in it. And then create your own connection with it and feel where it wants to be and learn to trust that, communicate with it. Right? That's what I think is the most important.
And what would you say about can it sit in the sun?
Well, mine has sit in the sun in Egypt quite a bit and it's got a tan now. So it looks a lot darker than the pale German cosmic towers. Yeah, no, no issues there. Obviously, you do not want to sit it outside in Phoenix when it's 115 outside to where the water would get affected, right? But actually, I found that a cosmic tower likes a little bit of sunlight, you know. So, yeah.
Nice. The other thing I found that Cosmic Tower likes is it likes community. So when I focus with a tower with another human, I feel it more. So see how that works for you. Experiment with, you know, I get the opportunity to tell people about the tower a lot, and the person's openness and interest in the information seems to influence the way I feel the tower while talking to them. Because some people I drop in really, really deeply, and I speak differently. And so, yeah, I think they like attention. And as far as ideal temperatures, just don't freeze them. And if it's hot or if it's cold, that's okay. Guys, Jen has posted a link in the chat to the product page on the wellnessenterprise.com. If you don't have the link, you just go to the wellnessenterprise.com and you click Cosmic Tower in the top menu. We do our best to post everything there to make that the one resource. So there's tabs down below where you can make a purchase. And in those tabs, we've packed a lot of information. Okay, do the minis work if they're inside something like a purse or tote or bag? Say you want to keep it hidden from people's view.
Yeah, they do. So it's scalar waves, they go through matter. I wouldn't play with the mini, but you can feel the difference. So I like to have it standing up.
Awesome. Oh, you guys, Jen also just pointed out, if you own a tower and you're enjoying it, you can leave a product review on the page, and that helps people know your experience. So videos are welcome, typed comments are welcome, 5 stars are always welcome. So please do leave your reviews so other people can know how the experience is. And Charles offered a comment, like he started, we were going to bring a 220 here to Charles's house. And there was actually a concern that it, with all the crystals that are here and all the sensitivity that Charles had, that might not be the best way. So Charles got a 35 first. And it turns out that the 220 that I brought here, we didn't get around to standing up before it's heading east, and Charles isn't going to get to use it. So that means we got a further delay of about 3 more weeks before a 220 is going to be here, and Charles is going to be investigating with all of that. And so he's going to be able to lay out a path from his really informed and sensitive background about what it's like to go from a small to a large over time. It just seems to be the way things have worked out naturally. With that said, it's 2:59. We got a hard stop today. So I want to thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to be with you. It makes my life have meaning to be part of a community where we're building an energy grid that people feel harmony. Thank you so much for being a part of that. It's amazing. And yeah, we'll see you with the next Q&A, and we'll just keep publishing little videos in between, and you guys can keep asking questions, and tell your friends. Let's keep building it. All right. Thanks for being here, everybody. All right. Bye for now.
Bye.